It's recording. Okay, so yesterday we talked about cell membranes, semi-permeable membranes. Alondra, can you remind us, what is a semi-permeable membrane?
It's the layer around a cell, and some things can go across it.
Awesome. So a layer around a cell, some things can go across it, right? Today, we're going to be talking about how do we predict which way they go across. So how do we know which way molecules are going to flow? Are they going to go into a cell, or are they going to go out of a cell? That's an ugly arrow. Okay, you get the point. So on your guys' tables, you've got a model cell. Go ahead and flip over your papers. You've got a cell there. And I'm going to drop off some molecules. These are some little molecules. Share with Maricela. That's a little bit too many. Share with Jaden. Couldn't control it. Okay, share some molecules. You don't need to use all of them, but here's what I want you to do. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to make a cell that has a higher concentration of molecules inside the cell than outside the cell. I'm going to give you guys like 30 seconds to make a cell where there's a higher concentration inside the cell than there is outside the cell. You can use as many of the little molecules as you want. Okay. I want you to take 1 minute. Jaden, you're going to turn and talk to Lance, Alondra to Carmen, and Maricela. I'll chat with you. I want you guys to describe to your neighbor, how did you decide on where to put the molecules, and why did you put them that way? Okay? So take 1 minute, turn and chat with your neighbor. Where did you put them, and why? What are you thinking?
Well, I put my molecules inside the cell.
Okay.
I think that you have high concentration when there's more molecules in one side than the other.
Okay, so in this case, you're saying here's a high concentration because there's more molecules, and here there's a low concentration because there's fewer molecules. Okay, cool. Awesome, bring it back together. Jaden, Lance, what did you guys talk about? Talk us through a little bit. How did you set up your cells, and why did you set them up that way?
I put most of the setup inside of the cell because that's where all the higher concentration is.
Okay, so he put more inside the cell because there was a higher concentration there. What about Alondra or Carmen? What did you guys talk about? Where did you arrange your molecules, and why did you put them in those places?
Well, we put them inside, like you said, because you said inside there's a high concentration than outside. So there's like a few outside, and when you have like a higher concentration inside, molecules cannot flow inside. So like brings out water.
Okay, okay, interesting. So I think you're getting like even a little bit more ahead of us, but you had a higher number of molecules inside the cell.
Yeah.
Maricela, can you talk me through what you said about concentration? What determines concentration? Like what makes something a high concentration?
What makes something high concentration is where there's more molecules.
Okay, so if I've got more molecules, I've got a high concentration versus if I have a low concentration, I have fewer molecules. Okay, cool. Now I want you guys to think about this question because we're trying to predict which way they're going to go. Looking at your model cells, the cell that you set up, which way do you think molecules are going to move? Are they going to move into the cell or are they going to move out of the cell? And why do you think that? I want you to jot your ideas down on your paper. Take 1 minute. Which way are these going to move and why do you think that? Okay, finish up your thoughts. Same partners, same amount of time. I want you to share with your neighbor which way do you think those molecules are going to move, and how would you explain your decision? Why did you make that prediction? Okay? Take 1 minute. Go.
Okay, so what I put was, I think the molecules are going to move outside of the cell, so the concentration can be even.
Okay.
Because right now, there is a high concentration inside the cell.
And so you think the cell wants it to be the same on both sides, and since there's more inside, it needs to move outside. Cool. Love it, Maricela. Good job. Excellent. Carmen, Alondra, which way, well, first of all, did you guys agree on which way they were going to move? Excellent. And what did you guys agree on? Which way do you think those molecules are going to move?
We said they were going to move out
Okay. Why do you think they're going to move out?
because of the high concentration inside. It's going to want to even out on both sides, so concentration will come out.
Okay. It wants to be equal on both sides. So if there's more inside, it needs to move out so that we can have more on the outside. Jaden, Lance, do you guys agree with theirs? Is that what way you thought molecules were going to move? Is there anything you would add to their description about why molecules are going to move out instead of in?
No.
No, you feel like that was pretty complete? Yeah. Okay, cool. So we call this process what? Ooh, not osmosis. Not osmosis, but diffusion. I want you to record that term on your papers. Record that term, diffusion. We call this process diffusion. Diffusion is when molecules move from areas of high concentration to areas of low concentration. So if our molecules moved out of the cell, then they would be diffusing because there was more inside than outside. So here's what I want you guys to do. Take 30 seconds to set up a cell where instead molecules would diffuse into the cell. How would you show a cell where molecules would diffuse into a cell? Take 1 minute to set up. How would you show that molecules are going to move into the cell? Excellent. It looks like everyone's got theirs set up. I even see Jaden writing some arrows showing that things are moving in. Take 30 seconds to turn and share with your neighbor. What does your model look like? Do they look the same? And how do you know it's going to move in instead of out? Go. What are you thinking?
So what I think is that my molecules are going to move in to the cell because the high concentration is in the outside now.
Okay, cool. So because it switched sides where the concentration was, now it's going to switch directions of movement. Instead of saying they're going to move into, what word could you use?
Diffusion?
They're going to diffuse into, yeah. Cool. So it looks like everyone's models were on point, and I think everyone agreed. Let's set up one last one. I want you to set up a cell where you think things aren't going to move in or out. Take 30 seconds to set up a scenario where you think things are not going to move in and they're not going to move out. Excellent. I see Alondra with a model set up. I see Jaden with a model set up. I see Carmen with a model set up. Alondra, will you talk us through what did you do in your model to show that things weren't going to move in or out?
I put 4 molecules inside the cell and 4 molecules outside the cell.
Okay.
And then one number at the side.
Okay. So if there's an even number of molecules inside of the cell and outside of the cell, we could say that there's an even concentration. And then diffusion, not going to happen. Yeah? Excellent. Go ahead and turn to your paper. Here's our exit ticket. I want you to jot down in this cell here, which way will molecules move, into or out of the cell? And I want you to make sure you use the word diffusion in your response. Which way are they going to move? Into or out, and use the word diffusion in your response.